Everything else on?
Mm-hmm.
Good, yeah. Oh, wow. We talked with the other guys way too long, and this is going to be a long-ass interview in general.
Okay.
Okay, I need to see how silly I look. I look silly. Hello, YouTube pedal nerds. And again, you are asking yourself, why are there only so few thick strings on this thing? Because we usually talk about pedals, and where's the frickin' pedal? You already know this is Stu Hamm, because A, it's in the description of the video, and B, you know Stu Hamm, because he's guitar players, and he supports a lot of pretty crazy guitar players. And as soon as I saw his name on the list of possible people to talk to, I said, you know what, that's just someone I want to talk to. I really do. Even though, you know, we talk about guitar pedals on my channel all the time. I don't care what they want. I want what I want.
Okay, well, fair enough.
Yeah. So, I admit, I probably have big holes in my discography. That's difficult to say. Discography of Stu Hamm and of things you've done. For me, since the early days of when I first picked up a guitar, you were the guy that played with Joe Satriani, right? And the guy who supported Steve Vai. And the guy, in my head, it was always Stu Hamm is the guy who knows how to get out of the way of these people and firmly support what they do without an ego, does his thing, and especially with Satriani as someone called it his pitch axis system. Is that actually what that calls it?
I have no idea. I've never heard that phrase before. Pitch axis.
Pitch axis, where he goes and has one root and then goes into different modes. So
sure.
You're in G and you've got G mixo, G whatever.
Right, yeah.
Some theory book called it that. Which pretty much means for the bass player, stay on that one note while the chords do what they do. But on the other hand, and I've seen him live a few times in the early 90s and you were there, and then there's always the solo, the bass solo. And then you come out and you do something that you don't do anywhere in this music. And for me, there was always this, Jekyll and Hyde is wrong, but let's say Jekyll and Hyde, Stu Hamm, where you're the side man that can go back and play the eighth note on an A and not care and do it amazingly, but then you slap the living crap out of a bass. Where do you put that part of you into actual music? Or is it just, you know what, it's difficult to...
We should talk about German pronunciation instead. If you say Luftfeuchtigkeit
yes.
or Luftfeuchtig?
Luftfeuchtigkeit.
Oh, so you're from the north. Now, if you're from Munich, you say Feuchtig, right?
No. Ah, the Bavarian.
Bavarian, see?
No, that's not German. I'm sorry, that's Bavarian.
Oh, well,
no.
Well, so how am I, as an American, supposed to come over here and like spend a lot of time learning how to say Luftfeuchtigkeit, and people say no, Feuchtigkeit.
No, what you do is you say humidity. Learn freaking English.
Yeah, well, you know. See.
But humidity is not necessarily a word that Germans that do speak English know.
Well, yeah, but in Italian it's umidità. It's such a pleasant word.
Well, then just talk to freaking Italians. What are you doing me for?
I don't know. Anyway, the answer to your question is sure. Why not?
You mean? Oh yeah, okay. Red.
No, I mean the idea is to play what's appropriate for the music, right? And you know, when I was bass is 67 years old. When the first bass was invented by Leo Fender about 67 years ago. And I've been playing bass for like 43 years. So that's a pretty good percentage. But also, I remember, you know, like in 1974, 75, seeing James Brown on TV. I used to have this TV where you used to have to get up on the couch and turn a dial on the television.
Click, probably, right?
To get one of the 3 channels. And then there's that black and white channel that sometimes came in. And the bass player was like doing this thing. I don't know what he was doing, but he was like pulling the strings. And it was like a percussive sound. So I was living in Vermont at the time, and I drove about 40 minutes to the closest music school, and I took a bass off the wall, and I tried to, you know, see what the heck he was doing. And the guy that owned the music store tried to have me kicked out and arrested.
Okay, that's a good story.
So you know, I certainly didn't invent all these techniques, but it was part of the zeitgeist of the time. When all of a sudden I see Chris Squire and he's playing, and all of a sudden here's Percy Jones, you know, the sliding harmonics, and then Jocko comes out, and then people are, you know, playing more chords, but you know, I learned to play bass by playing bass. You know, by playing, you know, open E's and G's, and then playing upright bass in a jazz band, and now there's so many bass players that they're young. There's this whole new vocabulary of bass techniques that they're sort of all supposed to know how to tap a little bit and slap, play chords and harmonics, and which is great. But you know, it really. But if they're coming from there, they forget that the role of the bass is to unite the harmony and the melody. And the bass is the most important instrument in the band because, you know, like I said, if your keyboard player or guitar player is playing these three notes, C, E, and G, and I play a C, it's a major chord and everyone's happy. Now if they play the same three notes, and I move my finger down 1.5 inches and play an A, it's an A minor, and everyone's sad. So I have the power in this finger to decide if you're happy or sad, right? That's what the bass does, and the bass should always perform that function in music. And there was actually only one song I think in my whole career where I was able to incorporate any of that stuff into an actual bass line. And that was. And the fact goes away, and it's only up here. Once this goes away, party's over.
Yes, absolutely.
You know, so I think just the danger is sometimes it's sort of like me on a computer. When I own a computer, and you know, I started in the middle, and I get frustrated when I can't make a good PowerPoint presentation. When you know, why would I think if I just started in the middle, I should be able to understand it instead of learning the basics of it, right? So, you know, it's just, I think the older musicians understand the role of the bass and aren't in such a hurry to, you know, not serve the music by showing off. But the taste gene doesn't really kick in until you're in your 30s anyway. So I have tapes of me very young playing a bunch of bullshit.
Well, I mean, we had 10 bass players on stage yesterday, and it was a wank fest. But that's kind of what the bass camp is about.
Well, that wasn't a total wank fest because that was my group of 10 bass players.
No, I meant this amazing group of 10 bass players.
No, it was interesting. That's a whole other day and week of videos on education and how to teach and stuff like that. But yeah, it's very strange. I told the guys, I said, hopefully, where are you ever going to be on stage with more than one other bass player? Hopefully never. Unless it's the bass camp or, the NAMM show, and in which case, it's not really preparing you for life, except that what it is preparing you for is that, okay, this is what we're faced with. This is what I told the guys. This is going to happen. There are going to be 10 of us on stage. Now, if it's not going to be a total wank fest, no matter what Henning says, we're going to have to figure out how to make this work. So we just have to figure out a way to make it work.
Let's just try to all be together without everyone going crazy.
Try to delineate parts. Okay, you guys play the rhythm guitar part, you play the chords, you play the bass line, you play the melody, and if people have firmly defined parts they're playing and execute them correctly, then they can actually work.
Mm-hmm. I sent this to you. I should send it to you. Kerry Norstrand. You know the guy?
Yeah.
Kerry's an old friend of mine. Kerry, I might be lying about this, but just stay with me here. I was in his garage when his whole shop was still in his garage in Riverside when he said, I think I'll go make pickups now. That was a good time I lived in California back then. Otherwise, it doesn't make sense, the story.
It still doesn't really make sense.
Okay, well. But Kerry just posted this video of this kid filming himself, I think 15 times in the same room with basses, uprights, whatever, and putting together a all-bass song. And listen to that on the crapper this morning. I'm sorry, but it was beautiful.
What?
It was really beautiful. He really exactly what he said. He said, okay, I'm gonna play high here, 6-string, 4-string. He did slapping rhythm on an upright, and he really managed to do a very impressive non-wanking song on I don't know how many bases. Very,
That's great.
I'll send you a link.
I'd love to hear it. Let's see it. Absolutely.
Where was I? Wait. So you definitely see you can do all these things, but you say it doesn't make sense, so I don't do them.
Well, it doesn't fit in this, like I said, in Satriani, for instance. I mean, that's a lot of times on those early tours, the first time anyone saw someone tap on the bass was when I did. Yeah, but in that gig, it's just, it's holding down the bottom, and that's fun. Abel L'Oreal said, music is papa. And if you don't like the then you shouldn't be a bass player.
That's brilliant. That is really brilliant.
It's a different aesthetic, but I guess it would be a stretch to say it's just as hard to play Smoke on the Water as Giant Steps. But to play it convincingly and to have a rock energy with a good tone and find the right space to spit in, that's your role as a bass player. Mm-hmm. And I was fortunate in Joe's show because I think one of the reasons that the bass solo was so well accepted, not only because I'm handsome and amazing.
Obviously.
But because when you think about it, that show starts and the bass and drums are playing eighth notes and Joe plays a little bit, noodles around before the song, and then the guitar plays the melody, and the guitar plays a solo, and then it comes back and the guitar plays the melody, and then the end of the song he solos around a little bit, and the next song comes and he blows a little bit, and then the guitar plays the melody, and the guitar plays a solo, and then the guitar plays the melody again, and then the guitar, improvises at the end of the song, and the next song starts and the guitar improvises a little bit, and then the guitar plays the melody, and the guitar plays a solo, and then he comes back and the guitar plays the melody, and at the end of the song he improvises for a while. And that goes on for about an hour.
Yes.
And then something else happens. So just for the crowd, it's just a nice sonic ear, which is let me believe, when I make records, I always try to, and live also, I've got I do bands with Alex Skolnick and Joel Taylor. Okay. And it's just so much more interesting for the audience, and also I think for the band to just alter the instrumentation, so that your ear is not fatigued by hearing the same, sound sources at all times.
Yeah, especially with Satriani, it is, when it plays live, it is a relatively small setup, and then you take the rhythm guitar out, and then it is, sonically it stays relatively on the same level.
He's great. I think that the challenge playing with him is he's got such a thick sound. It really takes a lot. He's got an amazing tone. He's a wonderful songwriter and a great soloist. And
you said, that's the thing you said, and he plays the melody, and that is, he understands, I play the melody, you know what, I'm gonna play it again an octave up, and the songs have a solo section. It is not all solo. I have albums by solo guitar players, famous ones, and it's from beginning to end, it's a guitar solo. No one can listen to that.
Well, you're preaching to the choir here, and of course, having played with Steve and Joe in the beginning, you got to, the guitar player's got to bring something to the table to get me interested. And I'm fortunate, a lot of great guys I play with. And then some of that guitar instrumental music, the difference between the melody and the solo, the melody is just slower.
Yeah.
It's not really like a melody like you can sing it. So now it's got a lot of admiration for Joe.
Actually, I remember a time when I was driving cross country with a friend of mine. I moved from Boston to California, and in the car we listened to Satriani, and we did sing all the melodies. Two guys in the car screaming guitar melodies.
That's great.
It was no one should have seen us, but they are singable if you want to make an ass of yourself.
Absolutely.
What was I going to say? One thing that I know from, and I don't know if you remember this, but because he played as an opening act for Satch in Germany, it was Adrian Lake.
Yeah.
And I immediately bought his album. I listened to insanely beautiful acoustic guitar music. The guy does crazy stuff. And then comes in this, I'm gonna wrongly call it country tune, like as
Nora Handley's Waltz.
Yes. And in comes Stu Hamm with this, I'm gonna say thumbing, I would assume, like 1/5 probably, like a very simple bass line, just gives it this really fat groove. It was I kind of wish there had been more of that on the album. Kind of like some more acoustic stuff, and then like 50-50 or something. It was way cool.
Adrian's great. I mean, also he has great blogs. Great. I don't know if you ever read his Facebook posts.
No, I
blogs.
have to be
He's a very smart, funny guy, and a great player. And you know, one of my careers is as a solo bass player, and I've certainly, you know, taken a lot from him about his traveling, how he does his traveling setup on the road, and how he makes it interesting, and you know, him and Tommy Emmanuel, guys like that. It's just it's brilliant.
I haven't heard anything. I mean, I'm not big into the acoustic scene simply because I can't play like this at all, and so I don't want to see them because it makes me sad. That is true.
Don't be sad.
Yeah, I have very high respect for people that play with really thick strings that go ouchy on the fingers and do these kind of. It would mean I have to practice more, and I do this. So, you know, it's good enough to show better. Yeah, every time I see Tommy Emmanuel or someone like this, I go like, holy crap.
And you ever seen Michael Mannering, the bass player? He's fantastic.
I've heard the name, but I haven't seen him.
Yeah, if you get a chance, it's absolutely beautiful.
Let's talk a little bit because, no, I was going to make a joke and say we're obligated because we're at Warwick. That's of course total bullshit. Because the last place in the world where they would force you to do anything about, hey, look at the Warwick bass. Little anecdote, you go into the music hall, frickin' Hans-Peter Rüfer built himself a little club with the best sound system you can possibly imagine, and a bar and everything. And you go in there, and on the right, I'm gonna say $200,000, probably not enough.
I know. How many basses do you think are there? Like 70? 50?
We should count. I'd say 50.
Yeah. 50.
But we're talking about high-end shit. There's 3 Foderos. 3. And he bought all these. I asked him, I'm like, where did they all come from? He's like, I bought them. He bought basses from the big-time competition. But he doesn't put them behind closed doors to study them and, dissect them. No, they're right there. Everyone here at the base camp can play them. And he's confident about the quality of his own product to do this, but also says, hey, these companies make great products.
Sure.
So contrast and compare, and if what we do isn't your thing, then don't buy it. So they're very open about this. But we do know you've been with Fender before, and I talked to Steve Bailey about this. And we've been asking ourselves on the way here, once in a while it came up, why do these people change to Warwick? How much money do they throw at them? And the first night that we arrived Sunday evening, we stood in this room with everyone.
Well, if Hans-Peter's throwing money, I gotta go get some.
Yeah. But we know now why, because we stood in this room with everyone, and we were like, this is a family. This is, how did we get here? We're being treated like equals, like part of the team. Then they give us this insane food. There's going to be a video about the base camp. You should look at the food. We're eating like kings for a whole week. And we started to realize how he ticks and how this works, and why, if he gives you a good instrument that, you have nothing to design on, why wouldn't you come here? Is that how you feel?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, and I think Steve Bailey was one of the first guys, trying to hit me to what Hans-Peter was doing here, and tour, and had a day off and took a tour of the factory, and obviously, that's impressive, right? And then of course I met Marcus Spangler, the non-people Spangler.
Spangler. Marcus Spangler.
Marcus Spangler. And that's what really got me going, because he's just as big a bass nerd and as all of us are, and willing to try new things. And so we, it's like Hans-Peter, he'll try and he's open to anything, and if you do it, he's going to do it right. So Marcus and I, this is version like 2.0 of this bass we're working on. A few changes we're going to make for the next one, but we had this great idea. And we said, we're just like brainstorming one day, and he said, I got an idea. And he said, well, what about this? So we said, man, how come no one's ever done this before? Let's make one, we'll be rich. We'll buy that little part of the Czech Republic that comes into the old DDR, we'll just cut it off, we'll buy it. This is the greatest idea ever. Why has no one ever done it? So we drew it up and we built one, and it was awful. So was terrible. I realized the reason no one ever done it before is because it was a stupid idea. But you know, we learned something from the process, and actually then we learned that that didn't work. You know,
trial and error is a good way to find things.
But you know, we modify it a little bit. You know, come back a little bit, but still something a little different was good. So it just sort of did show me how they're willing to try things, and I don't know, it's just, you know, this particular base has been through so much in the last month, and you know, I get here and you know how busy everyone is here this week, and I send Marcus a text, and you know, it's 7 a.m. Tuesday. I said, when are we going to get together to look at the design for the next base and fix my base? He's come over now, so 7:30 in the morning here.
Yeah,
he's got a guy Santa that and it feels great, and we're on his computer with the blueprint, moving the horn around so it'll be balanced, and it was great.
I have a feeling that they're not afraid, they're not saying this is our lineup, it's got to look like one of our bases. They're saying, okay, well, go right ahead, make suggestions. I had the Phil X guitar in my hand. That's 2 baseball bats glued together in terms of a neck. And you look at the reversal. I mean, that's not a bass where you think, if I build that, I can sell 1 million of them. But they're like, hey, if he wants that bass, we'll build it. Because if he thinks that's cool for him, and that means we got Warwick on top, they're not afraid to do these things. And I talked to don't know if you met him, very shy guy, wanted to interview him, the lackierer, the paint guy.
Right.
Who actually is, he says, on a good day he can distinguish a guitar and a bass. He does car. He's a car painting guy.
Right.
But they were smart enough to say, you don't need to know guitars and basses. That's not your job.
Right.
He is an expert when it comes to paint jobs. And look at the bass. I mean, the stuff they have down there, the blue chrome things, and and he's passionate because he says Marcus comes and he promises the artists everything. You know, hey, whatever you want, you want sausages built in, we'll do that. And then he comes and says, okay, we have to do this. But then he goes home and thinks about it. And he gets passionate about his job. You know, come 5 o'clock, he doesn't just clock out and say, fuck you guys. He goes home and thinks about, okay, how can I do this? And that's when the job becomes creativity and becomes a challenge. And I think everyone here works like this.
Absolutely.
As far as the bass goes, I've never played your signature bass that you had before.
It's one right there.
Well, isn't that one?
It is.
Yeah, no, I meant the other model.
Oh, the other one's right.
I know that because he is my walking bass encyclopedia. Anything I need to know, I'm like, tell me about it. Who's that guy? He said that Warwick basses have the longest scale of any bass on the market.
I don't know about that. That's not true. I mean, this is 34 inches, just like pretty much every bass is 34 inches from nut to bridge. Some people do make 35-inch scale basses. So, but if you're talking about, how much you want to add on for the headstock, if you look like a buzzard bass, you gotta have someone else tune it.
But this is spec-wise. This is not anything new to you. It's pretty much what you're used to.
No, man. It's a constant state of evolution. I was the first person ever to have a Fender signature bass. Let's never forget that. The first signature bass Fender ever made was the Stu Hamm Urge bass.
And it looked very unlike other Fender basses.
A little bit. I mean, it was designed to look and feel like I've been playing some, Kubicki basses and modern basses, and those were great. But if you take them into a recording studio, the guys are like, well, that's not going to work. Mm-hmm. So the idea was to design a bass that had the best of what Fender did, and then also, Updated was the first, I think, Fender bass with 24 frets, active electronics. And so I learned a lot. I learned some stuff that works, some stuff that didn't work. One thing that didn't work was my original Fender Urge basses were short scale, because I don't have really big hands. And then we learned that people, if they found it, they said, well, short scale, that doesn't sound manly. I can't wear it. Plus I look really fat when I wear a short scale bass. So we just changed it to 34 regular scale. And then, it's certainly also a commercial enterprise. So if I can do something and design a bass that's different than what than what Warwick has to attract more people to play Warwick basses, It would. I mean, I also teach a lot about ergonomics and Alexander technique and posture and breathing and stuff like that. So this is a much more balanced base than a lot of Warwick's, you know, and that's one other thing we're working on to get right is just so that it hangs right and it's not too neck heavy. And you know, some people like that feel. I don't. So if I can decide something that I like, but it's also different than everything else that Warwick has, then hopefully they can get traction with clientele.
So you're also thinking about, can they sell this?
Well, to a certain point, sure. You know, I mean, because the bottom line, that's what it is, you know, and Hans Peter is very supportive, and, you know, I sort of do that by, you know, like I said, you know, we'll get a percentage, you know, so I like to buy that little piece of the Czech Republic right there. It juts right in, we can just cut it off, you know.
What would you do then? Make it a big pool?
I'd live there.
Keep your own whale?
I'd build a beach.
in the middle, between Germany and the Czech Republic, it'll be your own little country, Stu Hamm.
Yes, I just got off a 3-week vacation in Pescara, Italy, so I'd recreate the little, you know, mid-Adriatic coast of Italy.
You're gonna have to sell a couple more bases to get that happening.
You know, it starts with one.
How did you, one of my last questions, actually the last, there isn't one of that, there's no plural of last questions, it's completely freaking ridiculous.
Luftfeuchtigkeit.
Luftfeuchtigkeit. Yeah, like it's like Feuchtigkeit.
I hate it when you do that.
It's not, it's Learn German with me and Stu Hamm. We saw they have a lot of nice knobs, and you know, we're all suckers for a good knob.
Right.
Sorry. That's what my girlfriend
I'll just let that one go.
These are just kind of plasticky.
Right.
Your choice?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I mean, it's sort of certainly a simple, austere-looking base. You know, it doesn't need to be skulls and, you know, little pointy things.
Of course it has to be skulls.
No, it doesn't actually. It's functional and it's plain and they're nice and, you know, I don't really, that's probably the first time that I've ever thought about, you know, what should the knobs look like? It really is not a thing that really crosses my mind.
Okay, good. So
to be quite honest with you.
Simple is good.
You know.
Your new project, Alex Skolnick?
Well, I've got a lot of news production. You know, the latest album, The Book of Lies, is out, someplace around here. And on that, there is a 7-piece suite for solo electric bass. So I have a new course for True Fire that teaches all the 7 pieces. Each piece uses a different technique. One's all harmonics, one's all chords, one's tapping, one's slapping.
Okay. I'll go online, find this, and I'll put links underneath so you can check that out.
And, you know, when I was just in Italy for 3 weeks, I wrote most of the material for my next record. And then I continue, I finish camp, and then I do a 2-week clinic tour with Chuck Rainey.
I read about that.
And then I go to Poland to do some solo shows. And then I go to London to see the Stephen Wilson concert at Royal Albert Hall.
Okay.
Do a few shows in London. And then I go back for some horrible quirk in my planning. I actually go back to LA for a day. And I know, right? And then I leave for Shanghai. And then I'm touring with Jane Getter. So we'll be back here in November. And then I do some other solo dates, some Stu Hamm Band dates, tour with Jane Getter in the States. And then I'm going to the Galapagos Islands for Christmas. And then I do some solo dates up the coast, and then Stu Hamm Band dates with Alex Skolnick and Joel Taylor down the coast to the NAMM show. And then after the NAMM show, I'm going to be moving to Italy for about 6 weeks teaching and hanging out.
But you're not busy or anything?
No,
not at all, no.
Travel. I'm a flying Dutchman.
You love planes. It really sounds like you love planes at airports.
No, I like playing. And I just, you know, I have to get to the places where they want me to play. So I don't mind it. Except, you know, I mean, the good news, you know, the good news is that I got a call from Alitalia this morning that they found my suitcase that has been lost since Friday. The bad news was they found it in Toronto, Canada.
No.
Yeah, so sadly is I've actually been in this episode of this sitcom before, and what happens is, of course, it shows up here the day I leave, and then it chases me around, and then probably I'm thinking September 18th, I will say, fuck it, and I'll spend 350 euros buying all new clothes, and then it'll show up the next day. I mean, I've done this before. I know exactly what's going to happen, so Whatever.
I say keep us updated, but that'll be difficult. Stu, thanks so much for talking to us.
Hey, what's your name too?
Paul.
Paul, nice to meet you, man.
Nice to meet you too.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Stu Hamm, ladies and gentlemen. Not a pedal, but still kind of interesting, huh? Okay, we're gonna go and grab some food. Food's good.
Let's do it.
The food's awesome, actually. We'll go. Thanks, guys.